Hi, I'm Thomas Jackson. I am a filmmaker, an animal rights activist, and a vegangelist.
Hi, I'm Melody and I'm 9 years old.
And we've been living in this camper for the last 6 or 7 years while we made and shared the documentary A Prayer for Compassion.
How did you know it was safe to raise your child vegan?
Even though I was vegan for so long, I did have a little concern. So knowing that she was going to be living with me half the time and I was going to have to be making sure she got the nutrients she needed, I just did a lot of research. First of all, I discovered that a vegan diet is acceptable at any age. It's a healthy, acceptable thing. And then all the research I did about how much dairy affects children's, sinuses and just inflammation. By the time I finished researching, whole foods, plant-based diet was going to be the best way to raise her and give her an opportunity to be healthy and be sick less than she would have to be if she was eating animal products.
What kind of resources did you look at? How did you get this information? Was it a website, a book?
It was a lot of different websites. I just Googled at first, and then, I started narrowing things down. And like Physicians for Responsible Medicine, I think I found some stuff on there. And Dr. Greger, he had a few things, I think maybe about children, but definitely about health. It's just so easy now to Google and find the information. And I just did more than one website for each thing and tried to narrow down the more credible ones as I went. But
was she a breastfed child?
yes. Well, Melody's mom nursed her until she was 2, but somewhere around 6 or 7 months, whenever it's normal to start introducing food, we started introducing fruits and avocado, mainly vegetables, and mashed, we would get organic baby food that was different vegetables that were cooked and mashed up. And there's just so much now that's vegan, for kids, so we just started her that way, but tried to keep it as natural as possible and also organic. We were both, especially when she was a baby and young, we were both very careful about feeding her only organic food.
Give us a typical day when you first transitioning foods.
Well, first she was still mainly nursing, so she was just eating like avocado and fruits. And I'm trying to remember what your first food was, because I have a video of her getting her first food.
Peas.
What was it?
It was soup.
It wasn't soup, it was something else.
Peas.
Peas? Oh yeah, there were peas and, cooked carrots, and I'm not sure if there were lentils or not, but there were definitely, like in the baby food stuff we got her, it would have rice and lentils stuff. And we made rice and stuff for her. She would eat rice and mashed potatoes, and I don't know, we still eat a lot of potatoes. We just cook them different now. Soft food, string beans, broccoli. She always loved broccoli. You just steam it and make it soft. Carrots, and peppers. You've always liked bell peppers. Yeah, all kinds of fruit.
Did she ever have a doctor suggest that she needs to eat animals?
Well, I think we were pretty fortunate as far as she was born at a time where there was enough research that as long as the doctors, I think they could sense that I had done my homework, because none of them said, that she had, nobody said that she had to eat animal products. There's never been much pushback.
How did family respond to it beyond the home?
If people had things to say about it, they didn't say it to my face. First of all, I'd been vegan for so long, I was living proof you could live as a vegan. I think that helped, and also the fact that I was clear that I'd done my research. And also, I think most of our family members that are close enough, they know that I'm an ethical vegan, and they knew that she was going to be raised vegan. Yeah, nobody really gave much pushback. I think we've been lucky that we've had allies in our family. We've had a hard time converting family members to veganism, but we definitely have their support. They don't give us a hard time about it.
What were some of the challenges that maybe you experienced along the way?
The challenges are living in a world that's where normalized violence is indoctrinated into the system. Like going to the library and getting all of these kids' books that show this beautiful version of animals on the farm, beautiful cows being milked, and painted this picture. Like, it was hard for me it wasn't a challenge, it just kind of broke my heart a little bit. And when I read her books, a lot of times I would substitute words and stuff just to not normalizing her or indoctrinating her into that system.
As far as explaining it to her, was there a time and age in particular where you felt like you needed to explain to her what you were doing and how it's different?
I think that's a gradual process in the sense that right away it's clear that these are animals, we don't eat animals. Like it's clear that that's from an animal. Like we didn't talk about what happened to the animal, it was awful. It's just the idea that this is an animal, and a kid immediately is not going to eat an animal. So we were just clear and honest. This is an animal. Now, as she got a little older, I would introduce books like Ruby Roth has a great book, V is for Vegan, and there's several other vegan books that are designed to help children understand that, because they live in a world that thinks that nonviolence is abnormal, you know, like not wanting to cause harm is weird in some way. So it's important, I think, for them to understand why they're doing this and be able to, if somebody says, you know, ask them why, they're able to explain why. When she was about 3 years old or so, we were at the table and I said, you know, I'm going to love you no matter whether you're vegan or not vegan, whatever you do, I'm going to love you. And she said, I want to be vegan. And I said, why do you want to be vegan? And she said, vegans are cool. And I thought, okay, I don't know. Some of us are. And then she said, and I trust vegans. And I went, oh, yeah, you know, they're never going to eat you, right?
Is that what you said?
No, that's what I said.
Oh.
They're never going to eat you.
Do you remember him saying that? When did you first realize that you were doing something different?
Well, I never really realized, except when I got older, I was all like, oh, well, that's probably why my friends are always like asking me questions.
So what kind of questions did they ask you?
They're all like, oh, what are you eating? Oh, is that some like different kind of cheese? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's vegan cheese. And I'm like, what?
Was that the end of it?
No, like sometimes people just like ask, oh yeah, what are you eating? Can I have some? And they're like, sometimes all like, oh wow, this is really good. And they can't even tell the difference.
What are some of your favorite foods?
I think about like, well, we go to Blaze a lot and they have vegan pizza. And I think my favorite's pineapple pizza.
Have you had a chance to tell your friends what it means to be vegan?
Well, like some of my close friends will always ask me like, oh yeah, why are you vegan? And I'll just explain to them and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Do you know any other vegans?
Yes.
How many?
About like, I'm in Animal Hero Kids and I know a lot of them. And we've traveled a lot and I met a lot of people.
What are some of your favorite places you've been?
France, Scotland, London, definitely London. It was really cool there. That's pretty much it.
What were you doing in all those fancy places?
Well, in Paris, like, why'd we go there?
We had a screening set of it and it fell through, so we just had a day of tourism.
Yeah, and for London, we were also like featuring this like screening, right?
We had a premiere. We had a London premiere in 2019. Who was at our premiere? You remember who was on Q&A with us? Earthling Ed.
Oh, yeah. I was about... Yeah, and at Scotland, we stayed at Rebecca and her husband. They lived like near this castle that had been bombed. It was really cool.
The relics of a castle. That was fun.
Yeah.
Has it ever been like hard to be vegan, maybe at school or anywhere?
Well, at school, I don't really care much. They don't care. They're just more interested in sports and stuff.
How do you feel about being vegan?
I feel like it's kind of right because I really don't like the feeling of eating a dead animal and like to sense their suffering.
Have you ever eaten a dead animal?
No.
Do you think you ever will eat a dead animal?
Probably not.
Do you feel like being vegan has helped you maybe have an advantage over maybe not being vegan?
Well, I think that like there's also like processed vegans, but I'm pretty much a healthy one. And I eat fruit for the dessert and all of that stuff. And also I'm the top in my grade. I'm a 21-year-old reading level. And I'm also in gifted lessons.
And you take martial arts too, right?
Yep. I am a yellow belt, soon to be green belt in karate.
Wow.
Do plays and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm an actor. I have been in recently Winnie the Pooh. I was Piglet.
What are your favorite foods, really?
Well, I really like vegetables, and I'm not really that much of a fan for processed food, but if I do, I think I like vegan pizza the most.
Lately we've been doing a lot of burritos. We've been eating the burritos. Beans
So do
and rice.
you still like broccoli?
Yes. I eat frozen broccoli.
You eat it while it's frozen?
She eats it frozen.
That's what I have as my appetizer. Frozen broccoli,
I'll have to
And
try that sometime.
Frozen, what else do you eat frozen?
corn.
Frozen corn.
I eat everything frozen.
We eat a lot of frozen fruit too because it's so yummy, but
Wow.
I've never tried the frozen broccoli myself. But as a baby, I would be going to steam it and she said, let me have it. She wanted to eat it frozen. I said, okay, I guess, try it. No, ever since then, that's her favorite way to eat broccoli is frozen.
Cool. So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I really want to be like a teacher, but I also want to be like an activist and an actress, like a lot of things. But the main job would be like a teacher.
Who's your favorite actress?
Millie Bobby Brown.
That was fast.
I don't even know who that is.
Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Anna Lona Holmes, and a lot of other mystery shows.
Do you have any favorite animals?
Yes, I really like pigs, as you can tell by that pumpkin and why I was Piglet. I like pigs, dogs, like every animal.
Does it bother you that people eat animals?
I mean, I feel like they can eat whatever they want, but sometimes it kind of grosses me out.
Well, how do you like living in a camper?
It's really cool. Well, I also live with my mom in like Tallahassee, like in the town. And I kind of like that neighborhood. It's kind of cool. But I really like living outdoors, so like I have a tons of room to explore. And I have a basketball court, which is really cool.
Are you an activist?
Yes. I've been in a lot of like things with Animal Hero Kids. I've been in a protest for Lolita. We've done a pig
Vigils. And
vigils and marches. Yeah, a lot of marches. And we've gone like to a lot of places to like commit to like vegan activists programs.
Yeah, and when she was her first activism was at 2 years old. We were protesting with some other people, the Ringling Brothers Circus. And, a few years later they closed, they got rid of the animals. So it worked. Your first protest ended up,
We
making a
weren't
difference.
protesting with the
No, we
Ringling
were with
Brothers.
Tallahassee Veg group. It was one of our local meetup groups got together and sat outside.
Yeah, you were protesting against it.
Yeah, protesting against.
That's what
Yeah,
she said.
I've got a picture of her 2 years old holding a poster with like a lion or a tiger in it, and it said
Cage.
something.
Well, you're so brave and talented, and it's a really neat honor to have you in front of my cameras. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to share?
You might not remember so many things, but I just remember a lot of different times where we'd be on the playground or somewhere, and you'll come up to me and say, I was just talking to those kids about being vegan, like
Oh,
kids
yeah.
you don't even know.
Well, I remember once in London, and there was that lady, and she had a daughter, and she was like, hey, you want crackers? And I'm like, are they vegan? And she was like, huh? I'm like, are they vegan? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like,
She must have checked it out and
and
saw
then
they
she was
were.
like, oh, yeah, they are. And I'm like, okay.
And then she came over to me and said, you want some crackers? They're vegan. And I'm like, oh, she asked her if they're vegan. And then I had a great conversation with the mother about veganism. She had other vegan friends, but she wasn't vegan yet. And I think we helped build the case for her. And let her see how healthy Melody was and always being vegan. I think that impressed her way more than anything I said, is seeing Melody play with her daughter. I mean, Melody was a little taller than her daughter. Like there's a little
I was
more
older than her,
energy. Yeah,
that's
you were a
why.
little older, but there was a lot of energy, and she could tell how smart you were, I think. And, I think for parents, you want to be really careful with your children, and you don't want to do something that would hurt them just because you think it's the right thing to do. That's why I did all the research I did. But I think for that mother seeing this healthy child that was so fun and creative, and I think that reassure her, especially knowing that you never had had any animal products. I think that would reassure that her daughter would survive and thrive with a plant-based diet.
Has her food changed as she's gotten older from when you first weaned her into food?
First, when I was a baby, I just ate mushed up things, but I used to dislike peanut butter a lot, but now I'm really into it, and I'm trying new things. We recently saw a vegan egg patty.
We tried that just egg patty.
Yeah,
thing.
it was
Those
really
were
good.
fun.
I think when I was little, I was all I don't want to try new things. I was very picky, but now I'm kind of open up to it.
So what kind of foods do you eat right now, like on a given day for breakfast or lunch and dinner?
Well, for breakfast, I have a peanut butter bagel with pecans, and for lunch, I'll bring to school a burrito and some vegetables and some fruit for my snack. And for dinner, I'll have pasta maybe with a lot of fruits and veggies.
A lot of bell peppers. You like dill pickles, little tomatoes, spinach. You're a big spinach person. Broccoli, those things. I would say too, there was a period though when you were younger that you really got into the chicken nuggets and all, and it was harder to get you to try the burritos or the beans and rice. You've always liked pasta.
Yeah.
But I was so happy you started getting into the beans and rice, and then I made a burrito and you just I want another one. I was like, yay, victory.
Yeah, I used to just spite beans. When Dad bought these 50 different kind of beans, I was all
But beans are so good for you. So.
yeah, and then once I got older, I was these are good. And not looking at them.
But I think it's even with non-vegan kids, I think there's a challenge with parents as far as healthy food sometimes, because there's so much junk food, period. Now there's a lot of vegan junk. It used to not be so much vegan junk food, but now anything that's not vegan, that's junk food, we have a vegan version. You can be the most unhealthiest vegan in the world now. Used to be you had to eat fruits and veggies or you'd starve to death, I think. But yeah, kids are always a challenge, I think, to get them. But you're really good. You know what I mean? You're really good. And I noticed if there's sweets around somewhere, you'll have a little sweet, but then that'll be it. A lot of times you'll leave half of it there. So I'm especially when you're little, it took you a long time to get used to eating
I remember
sugar.
my sister was all oh, have another piece of cake. And then I ate it and I was all
You had a meltdown that day.
Do you have any tips for somebody who wants to go vegan that's your age?
well, try to eat as much healthy food, not vegan processed food. And it's good to research what's better and watch a lot of videos. There's one girl, Emily at Bite Size Vegan, which she explains all this stuff, how to be a vegan superhero, and that's what I used to watch when I was little.
Yeah, that's another resource, by the way. I mentioned Ruby Roth and her book, but Emily at Bite Size Vegan has a whole series of kids' videos that explains why milk is bad and this, and she does it in a way that's very appropriate for kids. It doesn't tell them too much. She doesn't talk down to them. Those were very helpful, I think. To this day, she wants to let's watch an Emily video.
Do you think it's important for other kids to be vegan?
I think that it's pretty important, for your health, and for the animals concerned. Once you know, it's kind of hard to unknow it. Whenever you look at it, you can just picture them in a cage, and yeah.
And the environment too.
Oh, yeah,
Young people have more at stake in the environment than any of us, I think that's a big motivator.
Say a kid your age wants to do this, their parents might not approve, right? How might they be able to deal with that? Do you know anything about that, or have you ever heard anybody having a hard time with that kind of situation?
Well, yeah. I think the parents will sometimes just say no, but if you keep on convincing, because you always need some backup, some research that can back you up when they say no. So it's really good to be prepared.
Any kind of research that you know about that you want to share?
Well, I know I've watched a lot of videos Dr. Greger Like whenever I'm eating, Dad always plays that. And it's very entertaining.
And Emily.
And Emily. Yeah, for Emily's more for kids because Dr. Greger just says all this random facts. I think if they wanted to like know a little more, then they would probably go with Dr. Greger. But if they wanted just to like convince, then they would probably just go with Emily.
And Ruby Ross books, and there's other books for kids according to what age they are. Seems like a lot of times the kid goes vegan, then the parent will turn vegan with the kid. But I have met a few people, they went vegan and then they had to convince their kid to go vegan. But it almost always seems like the kid goes first. Very interesting how that happens. I think kids are just naturally connected to their sense of compassion and love for animals.
Like, you know, when you go out to eat, isn't it hard to find stuff to eat?
There's this one restaurant that's called Sweet Pea and it's all vegan. And that's pretty easy because it's all vegan. Regular food places like Blaze, they used to not have vegan stuff. But I think that vegan is becoming a little more popular. So like people in restaurants are having a little more alternatives. Like in Blaze, they have vegan cheese and they'll switch the gloves and use a vegan cutter. And yeah.
Yeah, we're always watching them at Blaze when they cut our pizza because they use two different cutters, one on the vegan pizza and one on the other. And so we're both sitting there when they're cutting our pizza and make sure they get the green handle.
And Dad
a couple
freaks
times
out
I
when
went,
they
whoa,
don't.
whoa. It is freaking out these people by to get, what? I'm like, oh, no, that's vegan, get the green handle. They know us when we go in there.
Yeah, like we're like once I wasn't even paying attention, but Dad was all like staring them down, and they were going so fast. He jumped, like, no, use the vegan cutter.
I didn't even say anything. My energy was just so strong, like whoa. But we know the manager because when we screened the Prayer for Compassion locally, we got 10 vegan pizzas. For people to try samples. We got vegan restaurant, we got some food for them, and we got the Blaze just to show people, hey, even in this town, you can get pizza and still be vegan. It's pretty crazy. It's a different time for sure.
Now, you travel a lot. You've been to all these countries and stuff. Is it hard to be vegan when you're traveling?
Well, we usually like bring stuff, but like sometimes it's kind of hard, and we'll just have to like go to the store and buy like bread and tomatoes.
France was probably the hardest. We ended up getting baguettes somewhere, but she loved the baguettes. We just have to go and get, it was someplace we got baguettes and we got some fruit and we got something else. We had to pick and choose. You couldn't just go in and order the vegan meal, at least in all the other places though. England, oh my God, what about London?
Oh, in London there was
Everywhere.
a lot. Like actually there was an actual like ice cream yogurt truck that was all vegan, and it was really cool.
Yeah, when we first got there, the big buses, the double-decker buses, they had, several of them had the vegan Subway. They just released the vegan Subway sandwich. They said, vegan Subway. We rode on a couple of those buses, right? They're like, we're getting on the vegan bus.
When you go out to eat in those places, do you ever have to like prepare in case you can't find something?
Well, we always, like, wherever we go, we bring an ice chest. There's probably an ice chest in our car right now. And, like, just in case. But, like, we usually bring, like, regular things, like peanut butter, bread, dried mango, like, in case we get hungry and we can't find something.
And every time you go to a birthday party, we always
Bring, like, a vegan cupcake.
or something, yeah. Try to have a substitute. I wanted from an early age her not to feel like you have to do without, and also to have an understanding that those sweets are not like an everyday we should be eating this all the day, but they're a special occasion. And
Do you think we'll ever see a vegan world?
I think. Like, with all, like, the vegan, like, more people going vegan getting more popular, I think sometime we'll get it.
I'm very partial to this child, and I think that she's a very special, compassionate, creative, intelligent child. And I don't know how much of that has to do with veganism, but I think there's some of it has to do. I've always been careful to make sure you get a lot of blueberries. That's supposed to be good for your brain. And just try, we've always been straight up with you about everything. I think that's helped. But I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing in karate, what you're doing in the play. She just got last quarter, she got all A's on on your report card. You're a student council member. She was voted by her class to be a representative for the student council. You do that. You get up early to go to that on some days, and yeah, I mean, I can't say anything but how proud I am of you and how much I love you.